That must be. But the reality is, we don't. Our most of our youth programs, a lot of our youth programs, and most of our high school programs in the off season are run by high school coaches. And the one thing I found about most high school coaches is their time is valuable. And they, freestyle is its own worst enemy in the fact that it changes the rules so often that the techniques are okay, but it changes the rules so often that a lot of high school guys, a lot of high school coaches are like, I just don't want to try and keep up with it. And they don't want to teach it. And now, unlike when, back in my day, after the high school states, there was one folk style tournament. It was Newbury. That was it. Everything else was freestyle, Greco. Whatever, all the events you went to, there was no folk style. But you know why that was?
Because it was a law.
Because New York State forbid high school coaches to coach folk style out of season. So the only way the high school coach could interact with his athlete and to keep him wrestling was freestyle and Greco. They removed that restriction, and now all the high school coaches said, correct. And well, there was this transition period. So they started to do it because, again, the only tournaments that existed were the freestyle and Greco tournaments. So that transition took time. But then what happened was they started opening up Super 32s and Virginia Beach and all these other high school nationals and all these other folk style tournaments. So now you can wrestle freestyle all year long. And you never have to do
Collegiate.
that's what I mean. You can do folk style collegiate all year long. You don't have to do freestyle and Greco. I will tell you, I met up with Nick Piccinini out at Fargo this year. And he came up to me and we were talking. And he said to me, he goes, Coach, what do I got to do to get on the freestyle staff, coaching staff for Fargo? He goes, and I said, well, we can talk about it, Nick. He goes, I got to tell you. He goes, my biggest regret of everything he's done, his biggest regret is not having wrestled freestyle when he was young.
You never freestyle at all?
None.
Very, very, very little. Very little.
Right. Almost. And he says, he was like, I will preach that message to all the youth guys. He goes, you don't understand. He's like, as good as I thought I was, the disadvantage I was at when I got to Oklahoma State and wrestling these guys is just brutal. He goes, I wish I could do it over again. And so we talked to him. But
So we got to get it though for the younger guys, Jackie. You were saying now, like I take the 7th and 8th grade team of schoolboys to Indianapolis for the last couple of years. So at the very least, I'd like to get the novice and schoolboys, maybe the bantamweight, the first two younger groups. It's hard for first, second, third, fourth. But at least the 5th and the 6th and the 7th and the 8th graders, they're doing a good job of upstate New York. They do a good amount of freestyle and Greco up there. But we got to get. I'm thinking 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. The festivals in the spring, we do run them.
we do run them.
But
Here's the
we're
problem.
just not getting it enough. That's why hopefully Jason's
Right.
thing for the.
I'll tell you the problem. The problem is that, this is in my opinion, from doing it for over years I've been doing it. They require so many nonsense stuff by coaches, from your certification, your bronze, your silver, we're gonna get you going. Your goals. We fund 20 kids to go to the state tournament. We get them there, we pay for their hotels, and then they don't let them on the floor because you're not certified.
It's a
I will never
one-time
go back
thing.
to a USA Wrestling event ever again.
I'm sorry,
It's a
yeah,
one.
right.
It's I am.
And
But
it's a one-time
I
thing.
called Colorado, and I spoke, and I complained every year for the last 5 years, and that's my question.
So
We're
what-
not doing it ever again.
But so again, why? Because you don't think you think anybody should be able to be in the corner and coach kids? Anybody without any background check or anything else? You're a teacher, right? You're a school
I
guy?
grew up, and,
Are you a teacher?
yes.
So you believe that anybody, like what USA Wrestling's doing is we're trying to make sure qualified people are in the corner?
You just answered the wrong question. I'm a school teacher certified in the state of New York. and I can't go stare at something.
If you get a USA Wrestling coach, it's good, you can.
Listen, I'm just saying, you guys have
But,
your own
but,
worst
but,
enemies.
but, no,
You-
it is and it
But
isn't.
Jack, but again, what's the reasonable, your reasonable beef that we wanna have qualified people in the board?
Everybody that is supporting wrestling,
It's not. You see, you're looking at it from that perspective?
That's.
Because that's the.
Oh, this is a real wrestling
Yeah,
thing.
no,
Yeah.
we're having a party. I'm having a
It's
hard
not.
time though getting me.
They're doing it because they have to do it from a liability perspective.
So if this is the case.
If you don't think so, just look at what happened with gymnastics.
What district you teaching?
Yeah,
I'm just asking you, you teaching Kingsway? And you really, Jack, I'm just surprised. I'm surprised
How
a
many
fellow Deer Park wrestler
How
here
many
is fucking going,
how many certifications do you need to get on the floor of thought?
you need your, bronze.
Sure. Cool.
No, you need your bronze certification. No, I know for a fact, you need your bronze.
I've been told that certain events.
Dean, you need your bronze to get on the floor of Fargo.
You can, the only thing you need higher than a bronze certification for is to coach a world team.
Nothing else. And you get a bronze online by yourself, it's not that hard.
You have it.
It's
It's really not,
It's
it's
online.
really not, Jack.
Right.
So listen, I'm not looking to fucking.
Coach Fargo is bronze.
I've already been through the gamut. One of those different ones.
It popped
That's
up a
not you.
moment ago.
Well,
and
it
then
is
it's
me.
not
It's from the top down.
It is me, Jack, because I'm the state kids director, and you'll tell me, fuck you, Teddy, we're never gonna participate in that.
It's not you, it's the way the organization is ran from the top down.
The organization that
If
runs
it
the
doesn't have
United
power,
States
it doesn't have
Olympic
power.
Wrestling
It's
Team
not
that
a
we all support, that's who
demonstration
you
of
don't
it I
like.
can show to the guys who haven't seen it yet individually.
Like I said, Jack, I can't
I'm
fucking
not
believe
the
it.
only coach that feels like that.
Listen, I understand. It's like, hey, I like the military, but there's no way I'm joining the U.S. military.
That's why we're losing.
I hate the U.S.
That's why we
military.
don't, listen, I wanted to see freestyle.
Then you gotta support USA Wrestling, because USA Wrestling is like an organization that does freestyle, nobody else does it. So like, so you don't wanna do it, or you wanna do it, like, you know.
I'm a fan of freestyle.
And who runs, but who runs the Olympic styles in the United States? USA Wrestling, like USA Soccer and USA Lacrosse.
That's the
But, you know, Jack,
That's the ones I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna cheat it. I'm gonna cheat a little tonight. I might.
I'm a little frustrated, just because again, knowing you as long as I know you and you get involved in wrestling, to have that, closed mind, I do it because I wanna make it better. And you're just like, fuck you, what am I gonna do with it?
Guys, we'll get started within 5 minutes. I wanna see if I can get this.
And
See,
I
flex for a
appreciate
second.
that. I do, and we.
I don't think you're hearing me. I don't think you're listening. I'm just trying to explain to you why we're.
Let's go. Go, fellas. Mr. Panther, how are you?
See, how do we,
Thanks for coming.
how do we, when they say you
Is
need
it-
to
no,
have
nothing yet. All right, good.
certification, how
We're
do we stop
seeing
it?
if we can get on the
Again,
TV.
it says from liability, how do you?
Just on and then, is it the HDMI?
Okay, no, and I'm not meaning to really come at you, Jack, but I just
wanna see
get
if there's another,
because I volunteer a lot of my time, fucking helping USA Wrestling. And then I get people like you saying that no matter what you guys do.
No, hold on. You got a lot of people like me that are volunteering time to help USA Wrestling. And USA Wrestling does this. You're doing this. But the coaches that are supporting you, you're not listening.
I am, and I just, I don't, understand how we're saying this, because when we make guys get certifications, we make them get educated about coaching, we do, so I get you're a teacher, but not all coaches are teachers, some guys are fucking plumbers or whatever, and guys step in the corner that have you don't know nothing about, and we're having an event, like, I had a guy wanted to punch me out last year, and, he was in the corner, and it was from my friend Mike Patrick, which is the bowling, but, I mean, so we want nut jobs like that, in the corner, like, you know what I mean, like, if we don't have some kind of standards that the coaches have to live up to, and I don't want you to feel like nickel and diamond, we implemented a coach's path. You can look at that nickel and diamond, but we're trying to push people towards, all right, well, if you're not gonna get certified, then you're gonna pay. If you're not gonna get certified, just get certified, take the classes.
It's one.
I'm sorry, I'm taking the time. But a real invest in take the class on their dime. And then when you get there, it's pay more, pay more, pay more. we're the ones supporting the event, or the coaches.
The good news is, we've gotten rid of it. There is no ball field. Now it's, you can't get on the floor. Now it's, you have to be certified.
Right.
No, I don't think so. I think he's roaming.
So it's not about the money, it's about the certification. It's about protecting. It's why USA events, you know, for a long time, especially in Nassau, mostly, they were using non-USA officials, just the regular Nassau County officials, to referee the full stuff. You can't do that. You can't do that. If it's USA events, it's gotta be USA official. And I'm like, I told the officials, I'm like, guys, if you want to referee youth events, you just want to become a USA official. Because from an insurance perspective, you're not covered if you don't do it. And if you're the guy holding the event, you have a non-USA official who's refereeing. And he's refereeing the match, and the kid gets hurt. And those kids' parents will sue the event. And they go, who were your officials? And, well, he was. He was the guy who was doing the match. Well, where's his certification? Well, he's a national official, he's not a USA official.
So I do understand this, because a lot of guys, they have frustrations, but I just, you know, for me, it's hard because we're just going by what they tell us as far as.
Are you trying to do it?
But we can't, but I take.
Is there a way to do that?
I don't know how to do
that. Just in case Tommy has a growth spot.
It's not a complete sound. Because we want our kids to be best. The best way that they can become the best. So I'd like to get my, I'm upset because it's just, and that's where you are. There's nothing you can do that's gonna make it better.
Let me see, maybe we have another board for like, maybe, let me see, maybe we have
I think I just have
So
to
there's
like.
nothing that I can do that's gonna show.
I think I can be okay here. No, if I can't. It's just, sucks. You're not gonna have one.
No, I've seen Sneakup looks like that. Let me take a look. You never know.
Okay.
So like we don't, you know what I mean? Like it's, if it is, it's probably something we had from a while ago. You know what I mean? So I'll take a look.
There's no way that USA Wrestling would accept like coach certification through New York State or any state.
Here's the thing, USA Wrestling wants to make
So
sure
many collegiate things.
that all its coaches and officials have gone through the training that
You're not touching
they're
that.
being mandated to go through. That's not to say, you know, if you were a high school coach or a college coach, that you didn't also have to have that training for something else. But they can't validate the fact that you did. So they make you go through that stuff on, once you've gone through it, you've done it, and you did it. But that's coming, that's not a directive that USA
I don't know if
wants
it's
to
the
do.
same thing.
They do, but it's a directive that's coming from Congress. All the Olympic sports that are governed by that have to do it. Primarily because of what happened with gymnastics. It started with the same school.
But I don't think that.
There's this exposure, we're having adults with kids, and now there's a chance for
So
youth.
that's the school.
And that woke everybody up. But when gymnastics, when that's doing your show, it was gymnastics. And they have been molesting all those girls for all those years.
Yeah.
They said enough's enough.
Although I heard, a little bit.
I'm sorry. I was like, gosh.
And it's a shame.
But I just, I know that put them through high school, you're a volunteer coach.
You and I have been doing this a long time. I personally know kids, not
Maybe,
from
that's
here,
possible. Yeah,
but I've heard from other states and other, with kids who've been molested.
80 with Tommy
If I
last
see any
year.
other ones though, I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
No problem.
What I know from you,
Yeah, go ahead, take a seat.
and it's bad. And sometimes it's not sexual, sometimes it's just different.
So you just.
Sometimes it's a coach who
Oh,
chooses.
that's
But that's just as bad.
that's weird. Where are you?
And that's not right. And that happened 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's a shame.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
I
like,
think I need about 10 more seconds, guys, and I'll, you guys can get it.
I wanna be.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so
Coaching
zoomed
one
out.
level, they're making me take all these fucking bullshit courses. I was at a higher level medically than the fucking first aid.
Well, it's
CPR,
changing
and
more
they
resolution.
take it again, 'cause they won't accept
Dean, you know where this would
So,
be on a map?
Similar thing, different kind of. No,
I'm just looking at zoom in. It says-
Honestly, I do.
I
I'm
see.
serious, right? Because not a lot of guys might, you know what I mean? But
Okay.
Wait for the day. I can't wait to see the day that
I'm gonna be,
you're not on my list.
I'm bringing a check. How many checks do I need? Do I just need one?
Oh, you guys can see it.
Oh, okay. I figured we could just totally check it's in my hall.
We should be all right. Ready to begin.
Yeah, that's, I was gonna say, that's what it's supposed to.
And that's what I'm in. Now I'm in the last couple of years. Anyway, right? So,
Leave the folder out of my car and we'll get started.
Stay busy, retired,
I'm trying. I mean,
board time sometimes?
a lot of boys. Playing in all the tournaments and stuff is, you know, it's
Yeah.
I knew I should
have
have
just
for the
last
hour.
What am I gonna do to fill the day?
not
You go to
really.
the gym, working out?
Not really. I just
What's he doing?
Hey.
The fuck you
go to
doing?
massage parlor an awful lot.
There you go. The hole in the bottom, there you go again.
I keep busy. I still train kids. I have lessons before here. We still do raids a couple nights a week. So during the day, though, you're right. I'm a volunteer assistant at Gordon Hollywood Street.
Okay.
I'm doing the official stuff. So I was just telling Jack, I gotta take this fucking violence workshop and they're making me do CPR and first aid and, you know, like all this shit they're making me do and it's a little bit of a hassle.
Yeah, for the high school, right?
To be on, yeah, to be officially, because I've been there for the last 10 years, but I've never been official.
Oh, okay.
So I had to beg Matty DiVincenzo to give me a pass to get on the floor last year, because they don't let nobody on the floor at something, like unless you're a coach. So I'm like, Matty, I don't want to fucking stay behind the thing.
Take one
So I had to
pass
take a
around.
He's like, go get your thing.
Agenda
So
for the
I
night.
get official.
You almost got everything done?
Yeah, I just gotta do one other thing, I'm almost.
You have a nice team this year?
All right, gentlemen, you guys all ready?
Yeah.
We can get going?
A lot to,
No, yeah, I realize. Yeah, sorry that I'm a little late tonight. I went to the wrong hotel. There's another one right down the road, so that's what happened. Pretty much, let's get right into it. I wanted to start by talking about who I think our competition is. And I think that our competition are the other youth sports that are kind of providing a better experience for kids and their parents. So soccer, lacrosse, both of those sports, they get the events done really quickly and everybody is kind of a winner. Nobody has a really bad experience. Meanwhile, us, a lot of our kids, like a good portion, are doing a lot of losing in tournaments, spending 3 to 4 hours. We're not pleasing the parents and we're not pleasing the kids. So for the past 2 years, I've been working on this software which will hopefully make us competitive with these other sports. Because I would love to see wrestling become as popular as soccer or lacrosse is here on Long Island. So I'm going to try to give you guys a run through of how this software works now. A bunch of you guys I've showed it to already. We'll move through it pretty quickly. Yeah, then after that, guys, I want you to hold off with your questions for a little while because I'm going to answer a bunch of them before you ask them. And then we'll do a question and answer session. And then we'll talk about the opportunity for partnerships and how I think I can make all of our teams a good amount of money. So, if this will work. Okay, so gentlemen, this is the pairing pool where the entire event will be running from. Right now in the pairing pool, you can see we have 46 wrestlers. The next guy in line is Pokemon Master. You can see his weight is 72, his age is 7.7, and he currently has a rating of 2614. If I was to generate pairing right now, it would look for the best matchup out of all the wrestlers that are in the pairing pool for Pokemon Master. And I will show you that right now. Pokemon Master has been paired with Drax the Destroyer. They've been dispatched to Mat 3. Now, they've both just been sent text message notifications at this time. to their phones, and they know to head down to mat 3. If we scroll to the bottom, you can see on mat 3, I'm sorry about this TV thing, but on mat 3, you can see that they're there. If we click on any of the mat, let's start here with this one. We'll have the pictures of the kids, and you can see what the quality of the matchup is. These guys are very close in age and weight. Their ratings are a little bit different. This will be the mat view. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe if I leave it. All right, you can see the difference in their ratings is close, their age. Let's say this guy was the winner. We picked him as the winner. Boom, the computer enters it. These guys can now, if they want to find another match, they can just do the same thing again on their phone. So that's the pairing pool. That's kind of how that's going to work. I can manually create matches if I'd like to. As the director, maybe you want one of your Blue Wave guys you got going up against, let's say, a Bethpage guy. You think they'll be a good matchup for one another. I can manually create a pairing for them. It's very easy. I just type in their names. Say the Incredible Hulk versus Squidward. Alright. You guys get the gist of it. Messages have been sent out to them as well. And they would be up on the mat now as well. The way it works is each time that a guy wants to compete, it's going to take one match token out of their account. So that's the way that they pay for matches. It's a pay per match system. One match token at a time, and we'll go over what the prices are of those in a little bit. So canceling matches. This is something that we think is important because sometimes a kid gets sick. And we've all had the experience of one of our kids is waiting around an hour to wrestle, and then nobody's there for the match, and it's like we should have left an hour ago. You guys have had that experience? What we'll do if a guy wants to cancel his match, he'll have the opportunity to do so from his phone. If he cancels a match, he is punished by only being refunded a half of a match token. This way, he's incentivized to let us know because he'll get a half token credit back, but it doesn't, nobody can game the system that way. Now, I don't want to wrestle him, I'll just start again. The other person who had his match canceled immediately jumps to the front of the line of the pairing pool and will be the next person repaired. So it's not really a big deal for the guy who ran into...
He's got to wait an extra 5 minutes.
Maybe, yeah. Not too much time. So maximum age and weight settings. Obviously, we can't always create a great match for every kid that's there, and we'll email people and let them know the night before. But the software will never pair someone up outside of our maximum constraints. So if you see here, our maximum weight difference set for this event is 10%, and our max age difference is set at 20. The computer will not consider any matches outside those areas, but it's still going to aim for perfect. So even though our max is 10%, you're not going to get something like that until he's already gone against all the better matchups first. Okay? And the last thing I just want to point out is what I call keeping a healthy pairing pool. So you can see right now we have 42 guys in the pairing pool. If I was to just start generating a bunch of matches for them, right, what would happen is they'd all get their notifications pretty early, but as the pairing pool gets smaller, the quality of matchups decreases. You could imagine if there were only 2 people in the pairing pool, there's no choice. The computer doesn't even need to think. If we had 1,000 people in the pairing pool, all the matches would be really quality, but the lines would be really long. It would take a long time to get to the front of the pairing pool and get matched up. Make sense? This software will work best when we are eventually dealing with more kids and more mats. With a lot of mats and a lot of kids, like if we were running on 20 mats, it starts performing much better than it would if we're only running on 5 mats. I don't expect to get to anything like that this season, but right now we can comfortably handle 6 mats with 60 kids simultaneously, and maybe like 300 or 400 or maybe even 500 kids over the course of the day. The network effect is what's going to make this work. Can anyone see that that's a little Hulk Hogan I got in there? You guys can pick up on that.
Good job, brother.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna sit in my chair now because I'm pretty much done
Oh, okay,
showing you
nice.
guys what that looks like. So some questions. What if someone doesn't have a cell phone? It's as simple as me as the tournament director, I can add them in, or I can have one of my assistants. Brandon is often my assistant. He can just add them in, so they can manually ask for that. If, let's say, there was no Wi-Fi in the whole gym, maybe Lindenhurst doesn't have, you guys have it, but maybe Lindenhurst doesn't have cell phone reception. Nobody can get reception. It's as simple as making sure the tournament director has internet access, and then everything else can work like a normal style tournament. Everybody will say, hey, I want another match, put me back in, we form a line or something, and we use like a microphone to announce it. Yes.
What if you were to get a broadband Wi-Fi router
Definitely an option
and
for,
broadcast a LAN signal and give everybody, hey, here's what our access is into this?
a good idea, we'll probably end up doing so. I'm saying if all of us, my first event, there was like an emergency, all of a sudden we found out we had no reception when we got there. I hadn't been to the venue before, but it wasn't an issue, we just worked our way around it.
Or if you put screens up like in the corners of the gym that
That's
post everything, so
that's what
somebody
we
can
did.
just look at the screen and say, oh, I'm not free.
That's what we did as well. It's not as good because people want to be able to wander. They want to be able to not have to be paying close attention. But
Be close
in,
to something.
in the event that it happens, we're not dead in the water. Currently, there's no winning. It's just a good way to match all of our beginners up. So I don't care how much of a beginner you are, we're going to be able to get you in there and get you wrestling against the other beginners, assuming everybody is in on it, bringing their beginners. If I'm the only one bringing my beginners, other than my guys, I can't get them to a good match. But if you bring yours and you bring yours and you bring yours, we can put them all together and know that the software will handle it for us. We don't have to think. So, like I said, right now you're only winning individual matches, but I have different ways that we could make this a competition. And the main way I'm leaning towards right now is by having a leaderboard for who gets the most wins on the day. And this could be both a competition for the kids, where, you know, Gino Mantha is trying to be the #1 winner out of all 400 kids at the tournament. You know, maybe he gets 8 wins on the day. Or maybe it's the team, Blue Wave, you know, guys, we got 60 wins, Long Beach has 58, they're nipping on our heels, let's go get more matches in there. So, like, it's a cool way that we
Yeah,
could
make
have
it more fun for them too. It'll make it
Yeah.
a little more exciting.
Yes. So, there's other ways we could do it too, but it's not a traditional tournament style. That is still gonna be, like when we do tournaments, that'll be the state championship, the county championship. And those tournaments have their place as well. But I don't think those tournaments are appropriate for our beginners. I think we use this as like training wheels to get them ready, and then, you know, a couple times a year. I think it would be better if our tournaments weren't every weekend, but our tournaments were whenever they were.
You guys understand what he's talking about, right? This software does not do a good job of determining who the best kid in a specific weight class or group is.
There are no weight classes. It's just gonna individual matches for each kid, self-serving.
Accordingly.
That's what change each event, it'll change that.
Every week it'll be different kids. The ratings, I didn't show you guys that. I should have. Every match when you complete, adjust your rating and get you more and more accurate to where you belong. So if you're getting your butt kicked, it'll get easier. If you're kicking everyone's butt, it'll get harder. It'll place them all properly.
Well, Jason, listen, when we go through all these tournaments throughout the year around here, these aren't championship tournaments. They're tournaments exactly what you're describing.
Correct.
Except this is the pairing that's going to make it better for everybody.
Correct.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't run my tournament like a championship. Blue Wave doesn't run his like that. You have, you know, this group, that group, whatever you could get the best matchups manually. That's
But-
what it is.
but-
So this is good for all these tournaments that run throughout the whole season.
This will stop the dads from gaming the system.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Think about how the only way you know, I mean, Jamie, you know your kids in your club and you know their skill level, but you have no idea what Tommy's guys are.
Some
And
of
so, yes, we all
Most of
know
them.
some of them.
So you
But-
adjust his ratings too.
But for the most part, you're trusting on the guy's ratings. This removes all that because it's all based on historical data. It's, you know, if I'm going out there and I'm beating all the guys that I'm wrestling, my rating's gonna go up, up, and up, and he's gonna have no choice but to get paired with better guys.
Good idea, I like it.
That was a great system as far as I
How
said,
do
to
we
do what we
get the
do
initial
around here.
information in?
That's a good question.
I'm sorry,
I'm gonna get to that
Oh, go on.
in one moment.
Sorry to
Yes.
ask the question.
No, that's
No,
that's the next
go
thing. That's the second to next thing on the line. First, I just want to talk about awards. The way we're planning on doing awards now is for your first win, a kid will get a trinket medal. Congratulations, you finally won your first wrestling match. After that, we have a couple ideas. We may do a ticket system where they can, just like it works at Chuck E. Cheese or Dave & Buster's, where we'd have like an online store that they could work towards winning things, depending on how much they had. Or we may do some other type of thing where it's like, at your 25th match, you earned the level 1 singlet. We will keep something for them to be working towards that is like cool for the kids. The other thing is, why is this going to make it faster? And the way we're going to do that, it's going to make the experience for everyone much quicker. So, by doing it this way, if we put everyone the night before into weight class order based on what they say they're going to weigh, what we can do is we can only have the first 40 kids show up at once and just let them wrestle while there's only 40 kids there. Let's say that goes for 2 hours. They're wrestling for 2 hours with just the 40 kids, as many matches as they like. Then after 2 hours, we remove the lightest 5 and we add the next 5, and that goes for 15 minutes. And then we remove the next 5 and we add the next 5. And it just that way, we always have 40 kids sliding throughout the day, and we'll do the math the night before to know how many we're bringing in at once, how many we're leaving at once. This way, the lines are short. I'll make sure that the lines are like the perfect length, so the mats are always full, and the pairing pool always has enough, but nobody feels like they're waiting too long. And I feel that young kids, they can wrestle like once every 15 to 20 minutes and be okay. That would not work with high school heavyweights. Obviously, we'll have to, as we get to the heavier guys, those guys need rest time. That's why they have those rules in high school. But for a 6-year-old, he's not quite exerting himself in the same way as the big guys are. So now, like you asked, how do we determine skill? And that's important because, great, the software works, but you don't want to see your beginners day one get hammered by someone else's expert. And right now, we don't have any data on any of the kids. So the idea that we have is we're going to do a season kickoff, a get rated event, which is a takedown tournament that starts in overtime. So no matter what, beginner versus expert, it immediately ends within 1 minute. The worst case scenario is he gets taken down and he's ready to get his next match. Because they'll be so fast, we'll be able to get each kid maybe 20 to 30 matches in 2 hours. Like every 3 or 4 minutes, they'll be able to get one in. And that will give us a lot of data to know where everybody falls. No, of course, a takedown is not the equivalent of winning a match, but it's a good estimate that will put everybody in order to start. If a kid couldn't make it, but now we have a lot of data, all you would have to do as the coach is be like, he's about as good as this guy, and I can manually go in and copy that guy's rating. So you guys will help me by working together. If you have a new kid who's coming, maybe he could work with you and you guys could try to figure out who's the best place to put him. Also, I can change someone's rating if you have a guy that's been misplaced for some reason. If a guy's on like a 5-match losing streak, we want to move him. And the last thing is just that registration will be ultra fast.
Can you just go back for a second?
Yes.
I thought the whole system would do it on its own. If he lost 4 of them straight matches, it would put him down.
Maybe
to
just
tier.
not quick enough.
So there's certain kids that your rating will be moving down, but there's certain kids that will have been so badly rated, maybe because they're like a big heavy kid. There's still math that I should be doing to make it more efficient. Eventually, once I master the math, we think within 8 matches maximum, everyone will be in the right spot.
Well, the more matches they wrestle, the better the matchup's going to get. If I wrestle 5 matches, that's good. If I have 10 matches in or 15 matches in, it's going to get better and better.
Yes. But you got to realize that the first match, it's going to assume he's whatever average is for that weight. So your 160-pound 10-year-old is going to be rated around where the 160-pound high school kids are. And he's probably got to lose like 2,000 rating points to get where he belongs. The software is not going to drop him down 2,000 points probably for like 10 matches. When in the rare case that happens, you guys just let me know. I'll be looking for it to make sure.
Well, Jason, you could probably come up with starting points, like, I don't know how many points you go, but let's say it's from 0 to 3,000. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So you got a really good kid, yeah, he's a 3,000. Medium kid, he's a 2. He's a beginner, put him in as a 1,000.
Yeah.
And then from there, he'll go where he's gonna go.
Well, once we have some data, that would be easy. Right now, I don't know where they're gonna be. You know, you can show me.
Well, I'm just
what-
saying to start, you know, if you're not sure, you have a starting point, a base.
I think that
point.
the starting point of the takedown tournament is the best starting
Yeah.
point because we'll know fast and nobody will be having a bad time. You go up against the expert, you're not going to get beat that badly like it was if you were on bottom and he was, you know, going through his.
Well, that's good for the kids that show up to that, but I'm saying as you go along, oh, there's a new kid, he never did this before, where are you gonna put him? You know, you
That's
gotta
when
figure
the
figure it
coach-
out.
I would like to just you guys, if you know you have a new guy, your job as a coach at his first event, find me a guy that's been wrestling here that you know is as good at. And the other coaches will work with you. They'll help you find.
I like that because you're using a coach instead of a dad.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
And we're gonna have accurate weights with that kickoff, you're gonna weigh them in? Will that-
Every event they have to weigh in.
Good.
So the registration process is going to take about a minute. The only thing we need from them, they're already going to have accounts created because they've been to the first event when we created their account. The only thing we need them to do is log in, and then when they register for the event, when they click register, just tell us what weight you think your kid's going to be. That's all you need to do. So I know, all right, guys, we had so many 40 to 50 pounders. We have to start the heavier guys later the next day. The way it's going to work when they register, it's going to cost 3 match tokens to join the event, but when you weigh in, you immediately get your match tokens back. So it actually doesn't cost anything. This is just to prevent people from registering and then not showing up, because we may end up selling out tournaments. We don't want people to just register for every event just in case they get boxed out. Make sense? Okay?
And I can tell you, you know, you guys know I've run my fair share of tournaments. The big thing was, well, gee, we gotta create all the matchups. And we've gotta do it before they show up, so we know we've got matches for everybody, we can post a bracket, so we know the flow of the tournament and how it's gonna work. The way this works, it doesn't matter, because it's happening in real time. So they show up, and if I said I was 65 pounds, and my kid shows up and all of a sudden he's 75 pounds, it doesn't throw my bracket out of whack, because it knows what his actual weight is, and it just compares him to all the other guys that are in that pool at that particular point in time.
So there's weigh-ins?
It's immediate.
There's weigh-ins, always weigh-ins, and it's whatever their
That was
actual
one of my
weight is at
questions. I
that
might have
particular
missed that.
point in time.
So let's imagine, if this comes back up on screen.
And he can handle walk-ins as well.
You can have,
So walk-ins is non-issue.
All right, I'm-
Yes and no.
I'm giving up on the screen, so I'll just explain to you guys. There's 40 guys in the pairing pool right now wrestling. You came late to the tournament. They're already wrestling. You just step on the scale. We submit your weigh-in, and now you can enter as well. Understand? So the only reason walk-ins would slow us down is if all of a sudden we had too many kids at the event at once, which again, these are problems that are fixed as we end up with more wrestlers and more mat surfaces. If we only have 4 surfaces and we get an extra 20 kids to show up, that's a lot. If we have 20 surfaces, 20 kids show up. It's not really slowing us down.
Jason, can you tell me what is this gym gonna look like? You're gonna have a head table, there's gonna be computers in every table, somebody's gonna be outside registering people, how's that gonna?
Okay, so the flow is somebody is doing admissions as normal, like we do it every tournament, and then they get sent to, the kids can go weigh in, and weigh-ins will be, right now only 60-pound and unders can weigh in. Let's say it's 9 in the morning, so they can all start weighing in. As soon as there's enough kids in the pairing pool for it to work, we can start the matches. Let's say we have 6 mats. Each has a little laptop at their mat. Most of the kids actually have been working my event have just been using their cell phones. They find it easier.
So they can just run it right off this, so.
And they log in. They're given like staff permission so they can enter results.
Right.
So there's weigh-ins, and then there's just I don't call it the head table. I call it the help desk, because people still have technology questions. They typed in the wrong phone number. They can't figure out how to log into their account. That type of thing. There is a bit of confusion for people's first 2 matches. So far, when people do it, they don't get everything necessarily right away. They don't realize they have to click find a match every time they want a match. But by the time they get 2 matches out of the way, everybody understands it. They're like, okay, I get it now. And it really helps when there's other parents there that can kind of show them the ropes.
Well, that's where it's a lot different. We're not making the matches up. They actually have to go on their phone and keep making matches.
Well, they don't make the matches, they just request them.
Well, they request a match, correct.
But to make it easier, guys, if you guys, I'm assuming you all have parent meetings with all your program guys, with all your program parents. You know, at that time, just give them, it literally would probably take 5 minutes for you to just go through this process and to sit down and go, look, we're gonna go to some tournaments, they're gonna be this type of tournament, this is how you do it. You take your phone and you go through and you request a match, and literally 5 minutes.
Like a spreadsheet for them, or something.
Yeah, like a little quick
Yeah,
handout.
we actually have that.
Right.
Yeah, we're trying to make it, right now, if people are having a hard time, that's our fault. It's not user-friendly enough.
Okay.
But we're like, we've been making changes as we go and trying to make it so people can't get lost. Like, we want it to be very, very simple for them, so that way they're not, people get overwhelmed when learning something new. You know, kids like learning new things, but adults not so much.
Because I worry about the fact too, like, all right, they come in, they get a match, and then they're like, oh, Johnny's done. They go to the cafeteria, the kids in the bathroom. It's like an hour later, they never requested another match, you know, and all that time's gone by.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That-
as soon as the match is over, they gotta.
They should be
That's why,
requesting.
that's why
Let's get
you
another
as,
match.
you as the coach, after one of your kids goes over, make sure you request your next match. As long, if I have you guys helping out, very few people are gonna get lost.
Yeah.
Or you talk to his parent, how's he feel? Can he wrestle another match? Does he want to wrestle another match?
Yeah.
And then the parent clicks on it.
So here's another thing that you gotta think about. So to wait, let's say we're running 4 mats and there's 40 kids in the pairing pool. If each match takes 5 minutes, it's gonna average 5 matches before you're first in line and you get paired. But you could get paired immediately because maybe you're 40th in line, but you're the best matchup for the guy in the front. So there, you know, it's gonna be,
Perfect. So, yeah, timing wise, it's not gonna be perfect timing.
when we get, again, to bigger pairing pools and more mats, then it becomes where it's like, you can imagine if there were 40 mats, there would be almost no wait time in the pairing pool. It would empty itself out really quick and we could have a lot. There's only 4, it takes a little while to empty itself out.
Right.
Does anyone have any questions right now?
But moving forward, like, how do you're gonna wrestle the same kids? Maybe
That's a good question. Yes, so is my best match the same guy every time? Why wouldn't my best match last time be the same guy again? Good question. So after you've wrestled your best match, now you can't wrestle him again until you wrestled all of your other potential matchups.
Wait, what about the next event?
Then you can wrestle him again.
So we're most likely gonna be wrestling the same guys each event then?
Could be, kinda happens.
Could be, but I
If you're
think,
wrestling 7 or 8 guys in an event, if you've got 7, if you're having 6, 7 matches at an event, or 8 matches, I mean, typically at the events you're getting 2 or 3 matches. When you're wrestling the same 2 or 3 guys week after week, it's a lot more it's a lot different than if you're wrestling the same 6 or 7 guys. Because at some point you're gonna go, well,
They could decline the match.
yeah, and I already wrestled him, I don't wanna wrestle him again.
they could, if they're really unhappy, they can decline the match.
Same guys over and over.
Now,
It's,
here,
it's only, the group is only so big.
It's only
they're
so
gonna keep
big.
wrestling
It's-
each other at some point.
No.
You know?
no, the group's gonna be, the group is gonna be way bigger.
No, but I'm just saying, the group of, like, let's say, 90-pound 5th and 6th graders in Suffolk County, there's 10 of them. All right, there's 10 of them throughout Suffolk County. Those 10 kids are gonna wrestle each other all year long.
But that's.
That's right every Long Island sport.
I don't-
There is the option.
There's
of
only so
declining
many,
the
there's only
match,
so
and
many
you go
kids to go
further.
around.
I don't think you're really right about that, because when I ran it with, I have like a fake competitors list that I created 1,000 competitors for, and when I put in fake data, it was like finding matchups for like 60 or 70 for each kid, potentially.
Well, I'm not saying they're gonna wrestle each other every time, all the time. They're gonna
It's
wrestle
gonna
each other
happen.
often, because that's what happens now, that's what's gonna happen.
And your
But
outliers are
they're
definitely.
gonna like it because these are gonna be rivals. It's not gonna be every time I wrestle I lose to this kid. That's what the software is. The whole goal of it is to avoid that. And nobody has a problem wrestling their rival again.
Well, what's gonna happen when the 2 good kids wrestle together? One's gonna win, and he's gonna go up in points, and the other one's gonna lose, because he just lost against this kid. So they're gonna go like this. They're gonna separate a little bit in points.
A little bit. but not enough to make a difference in terms of the weight. So like, I haven't gotten into like the actual math behind the scenes, but if you beat someone, you're very likely to wrestle them again at another time, unless you beat them in the beginning when your ratings were still provisional. So when you first get rated, your rating is going to move much more wildly because your first match, if you lose, you're going to lose like almost 400 points. By the time your rating is no longer provisional, you can no longer lose or gain more than a maximum of 32 points.
So if everybody's in the same boat, they're just changing a little bit, it's gonna change.
Yeah, you can get,
A
you
little
can,
bit will make a difference.
you can gain up, you can go up as you get better, but it's not going to be like in one event, you're not going to jump 400 points.
No, but think about how we used to do it in the past, where you rated the guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they were in this like small weight bracket. They were like 55 pounds or 60 pounds, and you're like, oh, how many 60-pound number 5s were there? But what this is doing is it's removing